What if the world you know today had never existed? Imagine waking up in a reality where democracy never took root, where freedom of speech was silenced before it could bloom, and where the internet that now carries your voice across the globe was nothing but an abandoned dream. In this alternate history, the Nazi regime triumphed in World War II, reshaping the planet into a single iron-fisted empire, a world not of progress and expression, but of silence and control.
Let's say there's a young man named Karl. Karl was just another 20.
Something trying to survive in the heart of a vast Nazi megacity. He wasn't a soldier nor a hero, just a clerk in a concrete office tower pushing papers for the regime. On the surface, life looked normal. Trains ran on time, neon signs lit the streets, and radios filled the air with carefully crafted propaganda. But Karl felt the weight of something missing. A world with no art that dared to challenge, no internet memes to laugh at after work, no chance to simply be himself.
Walking home through the crowded streets, Karl often imagined what life might have been if the war had ended differently. He pictured a world where people argued freely on street corners, where music wasn't just marching anthems, and where bookstores sold more than state-approved manuals. Sometimes he caught himself laughing at the thought of scrolling through endless memes on a glowing screen instead of lining up to buy censored newspapers. The contrast was both absurd and painful, a reminder of freedoms he never truly had.
The city around him glittered with banners and massive screens projecting speeches of the Führer's successors. Cars hummed past, sleek, efficient machines stamped with imperial insignias. At night, drones buzzed above like silent birds, ensuring order never slept. Karl sometimes wondered if this was progress or a prison made of neon lights. In another timeline, maybe cities would be filled with street art, cafes alive with free debates, and concerts where the lyrics weren't monitored by officials. Here, even laughter felt rationed. It's like that at school, too. Schools in this empire taught children more than math and science. They memorized victories, speeches, and maps colored entirely in Reich gray. History books showed no defeats, only triumphs. Sports were parades of discipline, where even cheering followed a strict rhythm. People grew up believing this order was eternal, as if the world had always been painted this way. And yet, sometimes, in the quiet corners of the city, whispers of what if could still be heard, as if another story tried to break through the cracks.
For Karl, the rhythm of life rarely changed. Work in the morning, streets filled with banners in the afternoon, and radios echoing the same voices at night. To him, this order felt almost natural, like the city itself was breathing in step with the empire. Still, there were moments when the silence felt heavy, as if something unspoken lingered just beneath the surface of everyday life. In the days that followed, Karl noticed more posters appearing overnight, their messages sharper than before: loyalty, vigilance, obedience. The radio, once filled with music, now opened every broadcast with stern warnings about traitors hidden among them. People began to glance over their shoulders when speaking, conversations cut short as patrols passed by. What once felt like ordinary order now pressed heavier, turning everyday life into something quieter, tighter, like the city itself was holding its breath. It wasn't long before Karl noticed familiar faces disappearing. A neighbor who once greeted him at the bakery window was suddenly gone. Her shop shuttered without explanation. A coworker failed to show up for days, and when Karl asked, the supervisor only muttered, "Transferred." The word lingered, heavy and unconvincing. Whisper suggested that anyone who spoke out, or even seemed too curious, was taken away in the night. Nobody knew where they went, only that they never returned.
Fear soon became the city's unspoken language.
People lowered their voices, avoided eye contact, and carried on as if silence itself was survival. For Karl, every missing face left a hollow echo, a reminder that the empire's grip was stronger than any bond of trust. Hope felt distant, fragile, like a candle struggling against the wind. And yet, somewhere beyond the silence, a question lingered. How long could a world like this truly last?
Karl lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling as the sound of boots echoed faintly outside. The city felt quiet, yet heavy, as if every brick carried the weight of silence. He thought about the neighbor who had vanished, about the whispered rumors, and about the faint unease that had grown in his chest. For the first time, Karl wondered if obedience truly meant safety, or if silence was just another kind of danger. The next morning, Karl walked to work with the same measured pace as always, but his eyes no longer saw just the banners and uniforms. He noticed the cracks on the walls, the shadows of fear etched on people's faces, the hurried way conversations ended when a patrol passed by. It unsettled him. Part of him wanted to forget, to sink back into routine and pretend nothing was wrong. Yet another part whispered that pretending only made him complicit. That night, Karl sat by the dim light of his small apartment, the sound of the radio humming the same anthem yet again. He stared at his hands, wondering if silence was safety or betrayal. The city outside moved with its usual rhythm, but for Karl, the air felt heavier, as if pressing him to choose. And in that weight, one thought lingered. What did freedom truly mean, and what would life be without it?
Looking at Karl's world, it feels like a dark mirror of what could have been. A place where silence was survival, and every word carried risk. Today, we walk through cities filled with colors, voices, and choices, things we often take for granted. We can laugh freely, share our thoughts, and disagree without fear of vanishing in the night. That contrast reminds us how fragile freedom is, and how fortunate we are to live in a time where expression is not a crime, but a right.